Hello, boys and girls. So last quarter we learned to tell time to the hour, and today you're going to learn how to tell time to the half hour. So here's our clear learning target for the day. I can tell time to the half hour. And last week we really focused in on fractions and we talked about that word half. I want you to turn and talk to your partner about what does the word half mean? Yes, half means that it's cut into two equal parts and each part represents the same amount. So if I'm looking at I can tell time to the half hour, that means I'm going to cut the hour in half or two equal parts. All right, so before we think about time to the half hour, I pulled up our public record from last quarter when we talked about time. And I want you to look at the public record. And I want you to think about what we talked about last quarter around measuring time. Very good. So we said to measure time, we use clocks. And so there are two different clocks that we use. We can use an analog clock. That's the one that has the face on it with all the numbers. It also has two hands. What does the shorthand represent? Who remembers what the shorthand represents? That's right, it tells us the hour. And then we also have the minute hand, and that tells us what the minutes are. The other clock is called a digital clock. And this is a clock that only has the time that it is represented on there. And so the face of the clock is the front of the clock. Then we have the hour. Then we have a colon that separates the hour from the minutes, and then we have the minutes. So when we look at this clock, since it's starting a new hour, and it's on the 12, we represent that with 00, and the way we say that is 3 o'clock. Turn to your partner and tell your partner which clock you like the best and why. All right, everybody, I want you to look up here, and I'm going to show you two different clocks. I want you to take a little private reasoning time, and I want you to think about how are these clocks different? All right, so we're going to look at, when we're telling time, we always look at the hour hand first. So we're going to look at this hour hand, and it is exactly on the 2. So that tells us that the hour is 2. So when I go to this clock, I notice it's a little different, right? It's not exactly on the 2. It's in the middle between the 2 and the 3. It hasn't reached the 3 yet, so it's still, the hour is still 2. So then we go to the minute hand. And this minute hand is exactly on the 12 where the new hour starts. And as we said earlier in our review time, if the minute hand is on the 12 and it's starting a new hour, we call that o'clock. So the way you would read this time is 2 o'clock. But then when I go here, I notice that the minute hand has moved from the 12 all the way around to the bottom of the clock. So it's moved halfway around the whole clock. So if I know that one whole hour makes 60 minutes, so if it goes one halfway around, that's 30 minutes or halfway around the clock. So the way we would say this time is 2:30. Because an hour is 60 minutes, half of that would be 30 minutes. All right, boys and girls. So we're going to review what we just learned about telling time to the half hour. Remember, the shorthand tells us the hour. The long hand tells us the minutes. there are 30 minutes in a half hour. So from the top of the clock to the bottom of the clock is 30 minutes. The hour hand is between the 3 and the 4, so the hour is 3. The minute hand is on the 6, so it's half past the hour. Half past the hour, when we write it, looks like colon 30, because remember, there's 30 minutes in half of an hour. So this time on this clock represents 3:30, and this is how you would write it on a digital clock. All right, boys and girls, we're going to play a game next. So I have a stack of numbers here, and so you're going to work with your partner, and with your one partner is going to get a time. So I'm going to pass those around. All right, so when you get your time, and then the other partner has the clock, the other clock, you are going to match this clock, the analog clock, to the digital time that it says. All right, I'm going to use an example that I just saw with a partnership with the number that says 5:30 or 5:30. And that partnership created that time. So let's check and see if they did it correctly. So what I look at when I tell time is I always look at the hour first. And this hour says it's the hour 5. So as I notice, my shorthand here tells me the hour. And it's in between the 5 and the 6, but it's not quite on the 6. So the hour is 5. And so over here it says 30 for my minutes, which is half of an hour or 5:30. So if you notice, 5 o'clock would start on the new hour and 5:30 would be to the 6 o'clock.